Thank you for listening to Lone Star Community Radio. This program was broadcasted and recorded live from the LSCR studios in downtown Conroe, Texas. Lone Star Community Radio is supported by listeners like you. Donate and sponsor today. For more information on getting involved with Lone Star Community Radio, contact us at lscrstudios@gmail.com or visit us online at www.irlonestar.com. You're listening more into Lone Star, irlonestar.com, worldwide, and Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1. If you hear this is Dick Schishler, the host, and that means I'm live on our Facebook and YouTube channel because I have a special guest this morning. I have Jeff Lung. He is a local artist, and you can find all this information about him in the description below or visit his website at jefflungart.com. I actually found Jeff because I contacted the local Conroe Art League looking for an artist to do a painting for me or a drawing or whatever I was thinking for a friend. And when I found Jeff, I was like, man, your art's actually really cool. And he does all sorts of stuff. And I encourage, check out jefflungart.com while I'm talking to him. If you're driving, wait till you get to wherever you're going because he does all sorts of stuff. And welcome, Jeff. What's going on, dude?
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is it really a pleasure?
Yeah, it's a beautiful day out.
It's weird, isn't it?
Got coffee in me. I feel good.
Oh, let me ask you something. And you probably, because I have not been paying attention to current news. Were we supposed to have a hurricane, or is a hurricane coming?
I don't know. I heard people saying a storm was coming, and then I heard somebody say, no, it's not.
Well,
but I don't know. I haven't been paying attention.
But has it passed? Because the weather is kind of like a heads up. It's like, hey, it's been in the 80s for the past couple of days. Like, enjoy this while it lasts. And then, but then, like, I'll go online. It's like, oh, it's not coming. I'm like, was it here, or did it pass, or is it coming? Like, I'm confused.
Yeah, I just follow the crowd. I didn't know about Beryl either until it was here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that was stupid on me. But
what were you doing? Were you painting in the basement?
Yeah, I was just kind of hiding from the news. I try to avoid a lot of news because it overwhelms me sometimes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I love it. I let it, like, overtake me. But, like, the way they write these things now, because I think they're trying to be extra careful since Beryl.
Yeah.
It's like you can't tell if it's already passed or we're still waiting a couple of days. And so I got confused. I was like, wait, okay, well, whatever. It is what it is out here in Conroe. And let's talk about your art. I don't really know. I don't know. I'm not an artist. I can't draw. I can do stick figures about it. I might do smiley faces. But you do like a lot of. I want to show people this if you don't mind. I'm on your website, and I wanted to show right when you go to the homepage. It kind of talks a little bit about you and then your different types of art. Because you do, one thing that I never ever think about when it comes to artists is you are kind of contained to that canvas.
Right.
And some people make it like that's like kind of like starts the way the art starts to form. And you do all your stuff on certain sizes, right? Or is it?
Yeah, I mean, most of my work currently is between 5x7 on the small side up to 18x24. Part of that is because I have a smaller studio space right now. Eventually, I would like to be working bigger. I have some large wall-size canvases that are waiting to be worked. So I'll get there.
And so people know, I'm like, you do different things. Like you have, on your website on the top, you have portraits, you have live sketching, you have a shop. So you have your own personal items that you put up there that are not necessarily for private sale. So you just do art in a sense. And then you also can do commission work. And also, you know, I guess anyone, you're an artist. So anything's up for grabs, right?
Yeah, I mean, I try to stick to a style. So my elevator pitch is I'm a figurative, abstract, and portrait painter who creates whimsical geometric playgrounds for your eye.
Oh, I can totally, if people see on the screen right now, you can definitely see, these are his portraits.
Yeah.
And you can definitely see what he's talking about, like especially with the monkey.
Yeah.
Space monkey. I don't want to know what I would be thinking on that.
Yeah. It's pretty wild, I would say psychedelic in nature. My influences are Salvador Dali, M.C. Escher is one of my favorites, and he was big into fractals and repeating lines. I love tribal art, and specifically speaking about the Maori tribe from New Zealand. You'll see a lot of that kind of influence in my my work. And it comes from this habit of doodling that I've been doing my
Yeah.
whole life. I just am always doodling, scribbling on paper ever since I was a little kid, just imagination constantly going. That would help me focus in class when I was a kid. And
Next thing you know, your whole notebook is filled.
all they are, and that's
Yeah.
actually I developed this style once I saw all those doodles from my school days together, and one, I was going through a lot of my old stuff in a closet back home. Mom was asking me to clean out, and I found all these notebooks, and I thought, man, these are cool, weird, wild designs that I'd had no recollection of at all. I thought they would look cool together if I like collaged them together at some point. And that stuck in the back of my head for a long, long time. And it wasn't really until COVID and the lockdowns, all that stuff happened, where I suddenly found myself with nothing else to do. And so I decided to start incorporating my doodling with the traditional portraiture that I had learned long before that.
So in a sense, your doodling became, I'd say, quote, discipline.
Yeah.
And that had no training.
No, well, yeah, that had
It
no
had
training.
practice, but it had no, when I meant training, it's more of you're just sitting there
Well,
doing, like you weren't sitting there copying something. Or,
No. It's a stream of consciousness.
Yeah, you can
type
definitely
of
tell.
free flowing. Now, the works that you see on my website, the ones I sell,
Yeah.
that I want to do a good job on, I do refine those doodles. So I usually will do them in pencil in the beginning, and then refine the shapes.
Yeah.
Especially because I like to hide words, and I grew up with Where's Waldo,
I get you.
and Magic Eye posters. So I kind of put those two things together, and you get this wild style that I have.
Yeah, I dig it, man.
And the other thing that I try to do is I want you, when you see it, something by me, I want you to know that I did it by just looking at it. You don't have to see my name or anything. And so I've developed that now through time.
I don't know if any artist is like that today. I think you only earn that right when you're like 400 years old and you're dead and people start selling your
Well,
stuff.
I mean, you look at something, okay, that's Keith Haring did that, because he has a very specific style.
I don't know.
Or-
See, I'm not a cultured person.
He
in
was
that
a big
world.
he was a
Oh,
big
you're good.
street artist from the 80s, 90s, New York City. Basquiat's another one, right? You see something, oh, that's him. Picasso, you see a Picasso, it's a Picasso.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, he has a style. He
Yeah.
has that
No, I get you.
outside the lines, playful childness kind of style, look to it. And I think that's what most artists are looking for, that. And
Well, see, that's what's so strange to me in the artist world, especially like with musicians and those kind of artists, is you do have a collection or a commune in a sense of people who are doing something similar. And then you have this outside world that people exist who have no idea about anything that goes into this kind of stuff. And then like when the worlds meet, that's why I love seeing either it's going to be like a beautiful confusion,
yeah.
because everyone always goes to visit the museum, with art, and it's like that's like the perfect date because you can ask people, "What do you think about this?" And that's conversations start.
Yeah.
That's why I like going there, because I don't know anything about the art, but you can definitely see a piece and it's different from that piece.
Right.
It's like, oh, that's just a battlefield, cool, and then the next one's like a trippy one like yours. Like, I'm into this.
Right.
So-
Yeah, and it's subjective. So what you like might not be what I like, what he
Yeah.
likes. It's but as long as it moves you, my point is I want people to feel something when they see an image I've created, and I'm not too pretentious. Like, I don't put too much. One thing that really bugs me is when artists go on and on and on and on about their work and how deep it is.
This is a perfect platform to do it.
Right.
We can talk about how deep it is, man.
I mean, sometimes I'll paint something and I don't know what that is or where
when
that came from.
Well, when someone tells me it's psychedelic, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be deep, isn't it? This is gonna be one of those things. So like, you had to be there, kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
But no, I guess like one thing I want to let the audience know is this is what you're doing. You live in the area, and you have a studio out in Magnolia. Does that mean you can visit you?
Yeah. In fact, at the end of the month, I'm moving to a studio here in Conroe. So a lot
okay.
closer.
Well,
Just-
don't go visit him in Magnolia. He's
come to the one here in
moving.
Conroe. But if you go to my website, contact me, wherever I am, I'll
Okay.
range you can find me. But yeah, I have a studio. You can come and visit. You can see what I'm working on. I do regular shows. I apply for gallery shows. I do festivals. I do markets. I do commissions.
Yeah.
I do live events.
What's the live event? You mean like you
I'll
draw?
paint live. So
cool.
I do a lot because I do a lot of dog portraits. I've kind of become the dog portrait guy.
I believe it.
Yeah,
That's what caught my eye.
yeah, and people love their dogs. I love dogs too. I love painting them. It's very fun for
Yeah.
me. So I'll go to events like we did one recently in the Woodlands at the Ardest Gallery in the Woodlands for National Dog Day. We had some rescue organizations on hand, giving out information. And while they were doing that, I was painting a portrait of some dogs. And, the idea is to get interest in commissions and the art world in general, but also support the rescue community. So things like that. I'll do, I do live sketching at weddings and events like that, where I'll do a quick little 5-minute sketch of couples. It's kind of a nice thing to give your guests. Something different, different than a photo booth,
Oh yeah.
something you can take home that you'll remember forever. Not that you wouldn't
And
remember a photograph, but it's different.
Yeah. Just make sure it's flammable.
Right.
Right. But no, I mean, hold on, wait. Do you do the live sketching in the style that you do
No.
here? Because I was like, I feel
yeah.
like that would take a little time.
Yeah, if you go to the live sketching tab,
yeah.
you can see the style. It's called croquis sketching. It's a fashion sketch. So it's, has a little bit of color, but there's no details on the faces because that's what takes the
scary.
time. So it gives you the essence, rough likeness of the people, but it's not trying to be super specific.
It's kind of cool and creepy at the same time.
Cool and creepy. Yeah, faceless heads.
Well, people always tell me I have nice eyes, so there's no eyes in these sketches, so I'm gonna look like an idiot.
Well, the thing would happen in those quick sketches, if I put eyes on there, it would almost immediately become a cartoon or look like a cartoon. So
Yeah,
it takes
I
a little
guess.
more time and refinement to make
No,
it.
I get you, because there's no facial hair either. So
Yeah, right. Well, sometimes I will add facial hair. If a guy's got a big beard,
if he has a
goatee, I'll add that in.
All right, that's kind of cool though.
Yeah.
And so I mean, basically, you're available, and I like
Yeah.
that. And
I hustle. That's what I tell people. When you work for yourself, you never stop
well,
working.
that's one thing I always wondered is artists today, like social media. We were talking off the air about this. Like social media really is a great avenue for artists today because there's had to been a moment before Facebook ever was invented, but I'm talking like the year or two before Facebook or something like that. Like artists, really, it's all word of mouth.
Yeah.
Before that.
Yeah.
And then you might have had a MySpace page that you had some of the pictures that you took
Right.
on there, but there weren't like high quality scans
Right.
because you were doing everything by hand, and then you gotta get your little camera that's like just new digital camera, takes terrible photos.
Right. Yeah, but quality was
and you
terrible.
don't see it. You don't get to see it. Though, okay, that's one question I have for you. So I went to school for electronic media, which encompassed digital art, photography, and web design, and radio, television, all this kind of stuff. When I saw somebody who was really good with Adobe Illustrator, it was crazy to me because I use Adobe Illustrator, but I'm not an artist, so I don't have like. It's funny when someone builds computer tools in an artist's mind because techniques and disciplines have to go like it has to make sense in your mind how to build something.
Right.
Because in like Illustrator, I just like it because it's vector. So when I make business cards or if I make a big graphic for a TV, like I don't have to resize everything because that's a pain in the butt.
Right.
But I don't think of it as like a canvas where I can draw. But when I saw people creating art, like crazy stuff, I'm like, either I don't know what I'm doing or I just don't have that creative bug. But the question I have for you is you're doing everything with your hands. Mm-hmm. Do you see any like skill difference between somebody who can create something like in an Illustrator program or like on a canvas? Because I bet there's some overlap. I bet some of the people who are really good at Adobe Illustrator can do it on paper.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, there's some people who can do both. But I get all the time, people will see, especially the portraits, people will think it's a print, like a woodblock print, or
like a tile.
Yeah, what's the lamin, there's a, where you carve out with a knife on rubber, and you kind of
Like
make
a stamp?
like a stamp. Lithogram is what they call it, something like that. Or
I think I did that in high school.
Yeah, or people will ask, what computer program did you use to make this? And I always chuckle because there's no computer. I'm old school, man. Everything's by hand. I even use rulers and grids and
No, that's what I'm
calipers.
saying.
And
Like, because like Illustrator's, it's really neat. But then when you like, I would never buy one of those digital pads
yeah.
because I don't think that like how accurate really can that stuff be.
I know some artists who are really good with it, but their basic techniques are already good, so it will translate to the pad.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
I mean, to each his own. I just don't feel comfortable doing that because I never have.
We don't need to.
Yeah. And for what I do, my enjoyment comes from making it by my hand, and that's as a consumer too. I like to buy things that were made by hand.
Yeah, me too.
I like artwork that someone put 20, 30, 40 hours into, whatever their life. It gives it more meaning to me, makes it more important.
And that's one thing that I do love about the internet is like the art I buy is specifically to my taste.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And because I grew up in a family that bought like, for example, my mother and father, for as long as I've known them, my grandmother, grandfather too, when they would travel, they'd always buy a piece of art from the local artist. It was like their thing. So they always had a little painting or a big like one time it was a big painting. And then like so I was like, okay, cool, like that's your thing. There's not necessarily a singular taste they have. It's just they go, they visit the local town, like, hey, do you have an artist here? And like, oh, he or she is over here. And so if you go to my parents' house, it's like an art. It's stupid. It looks like a museum because it doesn't make any sense. There's no consistency to it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I thought it was really cool. And then like, so I grew up liking fantasy, like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and then I really like video games. And so I literally go online, find a person who's done, Space Marine, Warhammer 400K, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. I want that. Can I get that? And like really big, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
But then one thing I've learned as growing up is art's expensive.
Can be.
But it's worth it. Just don't burn your house down. That's the main goal, guys, is don't burn the house down. Because, like I said, my parents have had that art. They've collected over, I don't know, they've been married for 30-something years. So there's at least 50 paintings.
That's cool.
So
yeah, I mean, and when it comes to art, there's different price points. Like I have very affordable art.
Oh yeah. That's one thing I will say is your commission stuff. I was like, yeah, that's doable. I love my friend.
Yeah. Well, it also depends on where you are in your career too.
Yeah.
The more established you get, the more work you have, the higher you can charge. But I think if you're doing it right, you start out at something that everyday person can afford, and then you just work your way up from there. And I think it's important that we make art accessible to folks. So I always try to do things that are in different price points, anywhere from $20 all the way up to bigger.
So explain like the print stuff to me, because I know I've seen artists where they'll have like a limited number, and I'm like, does that mean they literally painted 25 of these and then it goes to print from then on?
No, what that means in limited edition prints are, so say I have a painting and I sell the original.
Yeah,
I can make prints of the original. It can be an open print run. It means it's just as many as I want. Usually the value on that is less. But if you do a limited edition run, that means I'm only going to do 15 prints of this. And then once those are gone, there are no more ever. So that's it. And then it's up to the artist to be, to be honest about that and not print more. So it just, for collectors like it because it gives them a little bit more value to the piece. There's trade-offs to it too. Like,
well, I just never understood it because it's like, oh, this is a print. I'm like, okay, cool, print it. And then like when it says limited print, that's what I was thinking. It's like, it's got to be some type of finagle thing going on where, like you said, they're going to make no more of this, which is wild to me.
Yeah, that way they can charge a little bit more for it too.
No, and so
that way the value, say that artist's name and value of his work or her work goes up over time, then that print's value will also go up over time. But I think those are kind of like, you're getting into the weeds there. Like, I do limited edition prints. I'm considering doing open edition too. just because.
I would just say shut up and pay me.
Right. Well, there you
And
go.
just do a flat rate. Hey, $400. If you want to pay it, pay it. You get
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, you can do that too. That's the great thing about working for yourself, being
Yeah.
independent. Like you can do whatever you want.
Well, because the danger is really online stuff.
Yeah, people are gonna steal. Like I was telling you before we started. Like one of my favorite artists, I see his work on Etsy all the time. I see it on Temu, and I know he didn't put it on there. I've talked to him about it. And it's sad. People just rip you off. And there's
Yeah.
nothing you can do. If you put your stuff on the internet, I don't care what you do. You put a watermark on it. You
Yeah.
do small resolution. You do whatever. Someone will steal it if they want to. There's
Well,
nothing stopping them.
What I love now, what I love is the stuff, the content I enjoy. They'll even use the Getty images and stock images that have stock image over
watermark,
Yeah,
yeah.
like the giant. Like I'm just trying to give y'all a perspective here. I'm not really trying to use this photo to make money. And it's
Right.
like, here's a guy in the office drinking coffee.
Yeah.
But they don't care if they're using stock image at all. But then again, I think there's a different way because there's some people whose intentions are bad.
Yeah.
Like the Etsy people, that's bad because they're trying to sell something off of someone else's art.
Yeah. That's not good.
That's not good. But like if I go on, like for example, on the cover image right above me, I selected 2 portraits you did, so people can see your art while we're talking. And I'm like, now I'm thinking like, did I just steal that stuff?
Nah.
And I'm like, well, I gave the website. I'm telling people buy stuff. Let's making it up for it. But I know it really worries me because especially as much time people spend online, because it's only going to increase.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the most hilarious joke is NFTs because it's one of those technologies that's 30, 50 years too early.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things that no one really understands and no one values it because I feel like art valued because people had to go somewhere and look at it. Mm-hmm. And it's only here. It only exists in this space. But like on the internet, you can see that image 4,000 times
Yeah.
in different lighting, different whatever. Like people, I don't. So like at one point though, art's gonna get that way. Like when we're all like hooked up like on Neuralink or something, and you
Right.
can only see this NFT if you visit my Neuralink house.
Hey, that would be cool if that day comes. But like I said, yeah, I think we're not there yet.
Yeah, it's not
right
there
now.
yet.
If you're talking to me about NFTs, you're usually an Instagram scammer. That's the only place
Yeah.
I ever hear about it anymore.
Well, and again, that's what I always wondered about the prosperity of an artist because like the music industry went through their drastic change when the internet hit it, and then I imagine physical art hit it because your prices might go up a little bit because no one's like there's not that many people visually seeing it, but the people who do buy it are buying it. But when they look at online, like, oh, it's cool.
yeah.
And it's almost like you have to adapt to the world. So you do more commission stuff because kind of like the music artists, they don't make money off their CDs anymore. They actually have to go somewhere to perform.
Right. They do touring and
Yeah.
whatnot and sell merchandise.
So the artist has to do commission instead of creating their own pieces of art.
Yeah, I think. Excuse me. I think.
Or did all artists do that? I mean, I don't
Well,
really know.
everyone's different. So the way I do things is I treat myself as a business, and there are trade-offs to everything. The internet is awesome for getting the word out. Before, it would be very hard to get the word out about what I'm doing. But now it's right there at our fingertips.
Yeah.
So you got to take advantage of it. But there are trade-offs. So with that means people can steal your stuff. Well, if I have that problem, I wish I had that problem where I'm so popular that people are stealing my stuff. Okay. When I can't worry about all that right now. Right now, I just try to worry about trying to make a living from this. And in doing so, I've got to be creative in what I do. Those different methods I told you, the gallery shows, the festivals, the markets, the commissions, doing the live events. I also write a blog on my website, and I also have a YouTube channel. And I've been on Instagram. I do reels. I've been doing all these things, trying to figure out what my sort of niche is and where I can make money on the side.
It really is strange because especially what you're saying with the strategies, it's because it's a fine line where it almost becomes like it cheapens your work, meaning like I always see these Instagram reels or things of cooking because I like cooking, and especially with artists, they had to do something in 40 seconds. Mm-hmm. But that piece of art could have taken,
Forever.
9 months.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and I'm sitting there going, like, that can't be worth it. You can't be showing people this, and the average viewer is going, like, oh, that looks easy. You made it look easy.
Well, that's
So,
the
and I-
internet right there.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying.
Instagram's full of that.
Well, because people always see easy, and then they see prices, and they see the I don't know. It's getting weird now because like the financial value of things is lopsided, in my opinion. Because everyone's used to Amazon, everyone's used to that kind of stuff where I can I just go on there and buy the alternative for 40% cheaper.
Yeah.
But see, but art's always been that thing where like no, it's really like you put the price on it.
Yeah, and it's a true meritocracy in my opinion. Like, again, something is worth whatever someone is willing to pay for it. So if you're willing to pay $400, that's worth $400. If you're willing to pay $400,000, then that's what it's worth. You decided that by your action.
What? Okay, Okay, so are you like an artist to the point where like history of art is something you enjoy?
Oh, I love history of art. Yeah, I mean,
so I have to ask this. So like at one point, like the Mona Lisas and all this kind of stuff, right? They got into the hands of, I would say, governments or organizations, right? Like the Mona Lisa is owned by who?
well, it's in the Louvre collections,
So is the Louvre that's in France?
right?
I know that. But I'm thinking like who owns it?
I don't know if it's public or private. I have no idea. I have to look that
Because
up.
those
but-
collections are like kind of one of those things people can donate, right? Or like, hey, I'm going to let you borrow this.
Yeah, I believe that one is permanent though. That's part of the
Okay.
permanent collection.
But like, the reason I'm asking that, it's like it's really funny to me when art does get that value and it like emotionally controls people, because like wars could be fought over this kind of stuff.
Right.
And it's kind of funny to me, and it's like especially going in today's world, like any museum, because I remember going to the Picasso Museum in Houston. They did the exhibit, and they were visiting, and I was like, it's kind of funny. Like, I wonder who's in charge of all this, like moving all this art, and it's apparently priceless.
Well, stuff like that. There's a huge team. I'm sure.
Well, I was just thinking, I'm like, and there's just a bunch of nerds who like all this stuff. Like, how is this not a movie right now? Someone's robbing this place, because that's one thing I always wondered about art too. Is when art's stolen, like everyone always talks about the Nazis stealing so much artwork because for some reason they liked art, but then the tracking down of the pieces they stole. What happens if I go and steal your Picasso? Like they kind of know I stole it, right?
Well, if you turn up with it, I'm guessing they
Well,
would
like
know
if
that
I
you
put it
stole
on
from somewhere.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what's so funny to me. It's like they put it up on auction. Like, oh, who gave?
Or
this?
people will. I've heard of
It's like a black
people
market?
keeping in their private collections where it's just for them and only them. You'd have to be
It's just
pretty brazen to do that.
owning art. To me, is really interesting because
Yeah.
it takes up space,
It does take up space.
and so eventually you're gonna be like, what am I gonna do? I don't have any more space. Like,
Well, for me-
yeah, for you.
Well,
what
for
about
me,
you?
it creates memories and emotions. And, when I look at something, I remember where I was when I bought it or why I bought it or what made me buy
yeah,
it.
my same with my parents. I guarantee you could like tell you all about the artists.
Yeah, the stories, and that's a big thing. So people don't buy the artwork per se. A lot of times they buy the story behind it.
Yeah.
That's where Instagram Reels, YouTube, the long form videos and the shorts, like that's where you can really find value in that. And just in regular posts too, writing the stories behind the pieces. I find at festivals when I'm working a booth and people come in and ask me questions about the pieces, that's when I sell things, is when I'm able to talk about what inspired me, why I did this, what this means to me. And people buy that. Yeah, somebody told me people buy.
Well, people
the
almost do it as a
stories.
pride thing too. It's like I bought a Jeff Long.
There you go. Yeah, people like that.
You gotta sound sophisticated when you say it.
Right.
Maybe you need to change your name and make it really weird, like Picasso.
It already is weird. I mean, it's Jeff Long. That's kind of a weird last name.
Actually, it rolls off pretty good too.
yeah,
So
2 syllables. Boom, boom.
yeah,
Good.
I like it. Okay. Well, I want to remind people to visit your website, jefflungart.com. And again, if you are just now tuning in, he's a local artist. I found them through the Conroe Art League. Again, I would check out the Conroe Art League, guys, if you haven't had a chance. I believe most days it's free to go in and check it out if they're doing an exhibit.
If we're open, yeah, it's always free.
Yeah,
Come
it's
on
always
in,
free. I don't think
check
they
it out.
they charge for work because they're trying to support local artists.
Yeah, they
But-
sell painting. So every month we have a members show.
Yeah.
And it's all local artists. You'd be surprised. I mean, people don't realize how talented a pool we have right here in Montgomery County.
It's weird.
It's amazing. And when I moved here from Chicago a few years ago. The first place I went to meet people was the Conroe Art League, and I'm very active there. I love to participate in the activities.
Yeah, when they have their shows, I usually there's usually a couple jewelry artists, and that's usually where I do my Christmas shopping. It's pretty convenient.
Yeah. In fact, in November we have we'll have a big market for the holidays.
Yeah.
We'll have an outdoor section and an indoor section. So definitely check
visit
that out.
Conroe. I think it's ConroeArtLeague.org. I want to say I'm gonna double check that before I.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but if you Google Conroe Art League, it'll definitely take you there.
It's .com. Dang it, ConroeArtLeague.com. But
Incorporated.
Jeff, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
For being on today's show. And I encourage everyone to check out JeffLungArt.com. Follow him on YouTube, Instagram. He's got, I believe, you got a Facebook too.
Yep, Facebook too.
Yeah, and then you also below in the description you can find all that contact information and email him about anything. I guess commission something.
Yeah, if you want something special painted for
Do you paint people like the French girls?
Like the French girl? You mean
Yeah.
the croquis style? Or what do you mean, French girl?
You don't remember that line from Titanic?
No.
She
I
goes,
haven't seen it in 30 years.
She's
that
like,
movie.
paint me like one of your French girls, Jack.
Oh, okay. I do remember when he was drawing her in the
Yeah, I
in the
know that line
salon.
always gets me. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that is so weird.
I was in high school when that came out, so that was a minute
Well,
ago.
then you really like that scene. I'm just kidding, but they use like a style. No, man, there's a line from the movie. All right, guys, we're out. We'll see you guys later. We'll get back to the music. You've been listening to Mornings of Lone Star here on Lone Star Community Radio. We'll be back.